Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis, and you're watching The Today Show here on Wellness Wednesday. Sometimes I just like to be alone on the show, and so that's me today. I'm here solo, and I always have something to talk about when it comes to wellness. We're streaming live right now on the Laurie Davis Facebook page, my personal page. We're streaming in YouTube. So many platforms right now, I can't even begin to name them all. But I just want to take a moment and let you know how grateful I am, because that's our topic today, and how grateful I am to be here, to be part of the Disability Channel, to be supported like I've been supported. Our esteemed leader, Jay Stoyan, and others who have supported the show all along, all of our guests, and getting things coordinated. And if you didn't see the press box yesterday, we had the most fun ever with our guest, Jeff Brubaker, former NHLer. And what a story he has. But it's not, as I shared with him yesterday, it's not your story, Jeff. It's how you share it. Oh my goodness. He had us in stitches. Doug and I don't think we laughed so hard in months over that. So anyway, good morning, Kathy Bell, our one and our like front runner here, always on the show, always here to support us. And thank you, Kathy, for that. Good morning to you also. So today I thought I would go into my archives and dig out an old technology DVD. I have it right here. It's old technology. It's still in the wrapper, as you can see. But a few years back, I was involved in a project called the Gratitude Experiment. And I was in the film along with beautiful people like Bob Proctor, who has passed away, Mary Morrissey, and some other friends of mine are in there. But we got together and we did a movie, a film on gratitude and ignite the spark that changes everything. So I thought, for wellness, I think I'll talk about gratitude today, because I have so much to be thankful for and grateful for. And you do too. But sometimes we have been, shall I say, conditioned or programmed to always be looking at what's not right, what's not going right, what's not happening, what I don't have, and focusing on that side of things rather than focusing on what do I have? Where have I been? Who's in my life? And gratitude is defined as being appreciative, appreciating life, appreciating everything and everyone around us. Yes, even the naggy Nells. We need to be grateful for them. So that's where we're going to go today. So if you have your notepads out and you're listening, you're watching the Today Show here on Wellness Wednesday. I'm by myself today. I'm okay with that. I love doing a solo broadcast once in a while. It keeps me sharp. So no guests today. Well, except for you. All of you are the guests today. So being grateful is about being thankful and also being kind, in that we return our thankfulness to others in a form of kindness. So it's not only being grateful for ourselves personally, but it's also being grateful for everything and anything. And I share with my clients, we need to get to a place where we don't regret or resent our past, because that keeps us in a place of, first of all, depression. That's what depression is, regrets and resentments about our past. So we need to get out of there. And instead of being resentful and regretful, we've all made mistakes. We've all done things we shouldn't have done. We've all said things we shouldn't have said. But we do in the moment what we need to do. So we need to let it go. And a lot of people have a hard time letting things go. But once you have this attitude of gratitude, it makes all of that a whole lot easier. So we're going to talk about a few things and what kind of impact gratitude has on our life once we start practicing it. but it's like anything else. It's like learning a new instrument, learning a new sport. We have to practice it if it's not familiar to us, if it's foreign to us. Now, we were all taught as children to be thankful and to say thank you if somebody gives you something and whatever. But gratitude is a much more higher level of consciousness than that. And so, how do we develop that? Well, the first thing is to make sure that this is where you want to go. Would you like to be that grateful person? There are many, many benefits to being that person, which we're going to discuss also throughout the show. So, the first thing I had to do to get into that movie, actually, we had to answer 50 questions on just on gratitude. And that was the screening mechanism to get into the film. So obviously, I answered the questions. I have a smaller part in the film, but it's profound. And I was really grateful to be in a film about gratitude. I mean, how cool is that? And so, what I then did, I took the movie and I created a workbook to go with the movie. So, I actually have a gratitude product, if you will, that is self-directed, and people can buy that and just do their own gratefulness work on their own, and it's really powerful. So I started keeping a journal. This was way back in the day when I first started to do my own personal healing and work, and it was suggested to me that I have a gratitude journal, which I at night I still do. At night, after my busy full day, what am I grateful for today? And when those hard times hit you, those very hard times, and I've had a few of them, if we have that ability to pull out a piece of paper in the moment of that dark time and start writing down, well, what am I grateful for? And gradually that brings us out of that dark place where we have, because this place tricks on us all the time. And we have to have tools and mechanisms to bypass that conscious mind. And as my friend Doug talks about, and he's learning more about it, the consciousness, being aware, acknowledging. So every night before I go to bed, I go, okay, what happened today that I'm really grateful for? And I usually have a pretty comprehensive list. Grateful that there's food in the fridge. Grateful to have a roof over my head. Grateful to have a vehicle. Grateful to have my husband, my dog. But these are obvious things. These are things that aren't that hard to figure out. And we call that elementary gratitude because that's easy. What's not so easy is to be grateful for the struggles and the hard times and the lean times. But if we can develop an attitude of gratitude around that, oh, life becomes so much simpler. I'm grateful for my hard times. And I mentioned we were doing a writer's retreat series, and I was in as a student and with our beautiful Sylvia Somerville. And I thought, those hard times, I'm going to dedicate my books that I write to all the people that ever caused me a problem. Because without them, I would not have been able to dive deep inside of me and come up with some talent and resources that I didn't even know I had. And I never would have discovered if I hadn't have had the struggles. So the problem is when we get into a situation and we don't know how we're going to get out of it, then we go to that place of anxiety and depression and we get stressed and we stop focusing on the things that are going to actually pull us out of there. And gratitude is one of the big ones. There's three actually, but gratitude is what we're talking about today. And I thought, wow, yes, my books, not that I don't love the people who've been kind to me and supported me. I'm overwhelmed by that too. But it was those struggles that taught me so much about myself, about how strong I am, about how smart I am, how loving I am, how giving I am. Even if other people chose not to be that, that wasn't even about me, was it? So being able to be grateful and thankful for every little thing. If you find a dime, we used to find pennies on the street, but we don't anymore. But even if you find a nickel or a dime, you pick it up and you say thank you. Because if we're not grateful for the little things, we'll never be grateful for the big things that come our way. So we're very, it's easy to be unkind. Doesn't really take it's like a no brainer to be miserable and to treat people poorly. It really does. That's easy to do. This isn't easy, what I'm talking about, because we can be easily hurt by family or friends. We can be offended easily. Doesn't take much to get offended. Actually, that was my very last hurdle, was to stop being offended. And I used to get offended a lot because I was sensitive and I still hadn't done a lot of work on myself. And I would get hurt easily and my feelings would get hurt. And then I'd get angry and I'd be offended, you see? So it's important for us to know that um, we just need to cut ourselves some slack and be patient. Patience is a beautiful thing. That's another whole show. It's a beautiful thing. If you can be patient with people and understand them, learn to understand them. Sometimes I work with some really difficult clients, but it's when I exercise my patience that because I'm grateful for their business, and therefore that creates a level of tolerance within me so they get the very best of service, even if they're being difficult. That's why they're here, because they've got stuff going on and they don't want to stay there anymore. All right. So being thankful and returning kindness. And as soon as somebody throws a curveball at me, I'll come back with the kindness. I'll take responsibility for my part. I apologize. I'm sorry that you felt that way. You see? Because we do hurt people, even though we may not realize that. We don't intentionally go out to hurt people, but it can happen. And so just taking responsibility for our part in any exchange or interaction with other human beings. And we all know the kind of damage that COVID did when we were all isolated and separated and couldn't connect in person and give our families hugs and kisses and be affectionate and grateful for them. It was really tough. And a lot of people are still there. They don't know how to get out of that place. Some people still haven't even come out of their houses. We've said that before on the air. And so reaching out to people and connecting with people is extremely important, and being grateful for the opportunity and opportunities that come our way for us to be able to do that. Like, I am so grateful to the Disability Channel and everybody that I've met. Kathy's here this morning. All the beautiful people I've met since I got here on the 1st of May. It's amazing whom I've gotten to meet. And I'm so grateful. Somebody said to me the other day, "You do 5 shows a week?" I said, "It's an hour out of my day to give back in exchange for everything that has happened for me to support me." And I'm grateful for that. And I'm happy to do this. I love it. And it's an hour out of my busy schedule. So what? It gets me up in the morning. It gets me dressed. It gets me raring to go. And it's a beautiful start to my day. And I am so grateful for that. So we're going to take a little 30-second break, because I'm really now pushing for sponsorships and advertisers, because our shows are out there in a very large way. So if you have a product, a program, a service, an event, something you'd like to promote, we have the spot for you. And you can actually say a lot in 30 seconds. So here's to give you an example of how long 30 seconds is and what could you say or do to promote you. And also, we can do 1 minute commercials. Doesn't mean it has to be 30 seconds. All right, here we go. We have a heck of a deal on right now, and I'd love to talk to anybody that would be interested in knowing more. Welcome back, everyone. You're watching the Today Show here on the Disability Channel. I am your host, Dr. Laurie Davis, and I'm doing a solo show today, which I actually love to do. I love my guests, and we love having guests, but sometimes I have some things that I need to say, and this gives me an opportunity to do that. So today we're talking about gratitude, and it's Wellness Wednesday. Wednesday, we feature some guests who have alternative ways for us to take care of ourselves, or we have a discussion on wellness. And I chose gratitude today because gratitude has been an inherent part of my life for a long time now, and it has impacted all aspects of my life. And there's been a lot of scientific work done around gratitude and how it impacts so much of who we are. So, the first thing is when we become consciously grateful for everything, everybody, every exchange, I think back to when I wasn't grateful. And I'm going to share a story that reflects that. And I've shared this story many times in my workshops. I don't think I've ever really shared it on the air. But this is back in the day when I was not very healthy. I was professional, I was confident, but I didn't really have a whole lot of self worth, and I had not done any work on my insides. I was all about the outside, I was all about looking good. The perfect house, the perfect car, the perfect everything, my nothing on my desk, perfectionist and a controller. And those were my two biggest drugs, being a perfectionist and being a controller. And so I wasn't really very healthy emotionally. So in 1994, my husband and I moved to Seattle, Washington. And when we got there, we couldn't believe the number of street people at that time. That's 30 years ago. And we were down there on a shoestring budget, no income, but I wanted to get to the West Coast because that's where all of the self-help gurus were coming out of back in the day. So we got there, and one day I was to be interviewed on the radio, and I thought, oh, that sounds great. So in Seattle, if you're all familiar with the Space Needle, that's where we lived, an apartment there. And all the TV and radio stations were down from the Space Needle, and the street people didn't hang out there. You see, because the old Laurie would say something like this to a street person: why don't you just get a job and everything will be looked after? Seriously? I didn't know anything back then like I know now. And so I was grateful for that. I said, great. There's no street people. I won't have to deal with them today. Sure enough, as soon as I walked out of that studio, here was this guy right in front of my face. And he had a big long trench coat on. This happened to me. And this actually, I put this down as the largest lesson of my life came from someone who lived on the streets. So he was standing there, and I knew he was going to ask me for money, and he did. And he said, have you got any money? And I said, no, I don't. I said, as a matter of fact, and I'm going to tell him off, you see. I said, well, as a matter of fact, I'm living down here. I'm from Canada. I have no income. I'm on a shoestring budget. And I don't walk around town with money on me. So, no, I don't have any money. And times are really tough right now. I may not look like they are, but because I could still do that look good thing. And he reached inside of his trench coat and he pulled out this paper cup, and it was all sort of dirty and crunched. And it was full of change. And he held it right in my face and he said, "How much do you need?" Whoa. But you see, because I wasn't grateful, consciously grateful yet, I turned him down and I went, "Oh, no, that's okay. I couldn't take money from a street person. Are you kidding me? You need it worse than I do, judge, judge, judge." And I am telling you, ladies and gentlemen, I will go to my grave with the look that came over him. It was like I had just completely, um, you know, for lack of a better analogy, cut his arms off. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but that's how he responded. He was devastated. He turned around and he walked away. And I knew something big had just happened, something really big. I didn't know what yet, but I was about to find out. So I went home and I was crying. And my husband, Ron, says to me, "What happened to you? How was the interview?" And then I told him about the experience with the street person. And he said to me, "You know what, Lori? When are you going to get over yourself? All you needed to do was be grateful to him, take a dime out of his cup. You would have made his day. But oh no." He said, "Remember when we first met and your car was broken and I wanted to fix it for you because I'm a mechanic?" And you went, "Oh no, that's okay. I have a car guy." You see, my self-worth was my low self-worth was impacting my ability to be grateful. Whoa. But the story doesn't end there. The next day was my birthday, and I thought about what Ron had said, and it didn't really sink in yet, but it was about to. The next day was my birthday. So he went downtown to get me a card. And when he was walking downtown over the boxes, the street people, the living in cardboard boxes, this old guy came out of a box. "Hi" to Ron, and Ron's, "Hi to you, and how's your day, and what are you up to?" And Ron said, "Well, I'm on my way down to get my wife a birthday card." "Oh, nice," he said. "You going to get her a present?" And Ron said, "Well, actually, we're not doing presents this year. We're on a really tight budget. So there won't be any presents." And he goes, "Oh, my dear departed wife in heaven. Oh my gosh. If I had only remembered her birthday and given her presents when I could have, and I chose not to." He said, "Just a minute." And he went back into the cardboard box and he came out with old technology now, a cassette tape, Willie Nelson's greatest hits. And he said, "Does she like Willie Nelson?" "Oh, she loves Willie Nelson." "Great. Does she like fancy sunglasses?" "Oh, yeah. Well, I've got a pair here, tags still on them." He said, "Now you have some presents." See, if you don't get your lessons the first time, you will be given other opportunities to learn them. And the opportunities will keep showing up until you finally get it. So Ron comes home and he puts those items on the table and he says, "Honey, happy birthday." But because I hadn't gotten it yet, instead of saying, "Thank you, honey, I'm so grateful for that," I put my hands on my hips and I say, "And where did you get the money to buy that?" You see? Uh-oh. Ron sat me down. He's older than I am and he's a lot smarter. And he sat me down and he said, "Okay, we're done here. You know, Lori, you really need to get some work done. Because you know what? Imagine a person with nothing wants to give to us. And you're not even acknowledging that. You're not even conscious of the fact that we need to be thankful. That's how critical this is. And that was the largest lesson of my life to date. And it turned my life around. It changed my attitude. It got me getting myself into, being more conscious of being grateful for the little things. Because when we're grateful for the little things, it'll be easier to be grateful for the big things. And I had this thing that I could give, and Ron would say to me, Laurie, why do you give to other people so much of your time, I was always very generous that way. But on the reciprocation of that, I was terrible. So I said, well, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel better. And isn't that the way with all of us? If we have a chance to help somebody, it makes us feel good. Well, he said, then who are you to steal that from somebody else? And I thought about that and I went, oh, that's what I did when I said, oh no, that's okay. And how many times have we done that when somebody has brought us a surprise birthday gift or some flowers and we go, oh, you shouldn't have done that. Oh, you didn't need to spend that kind of money on me. Oh, or somebody says you've invited them over to dinner and you go, they say, what can I bring? And you say, oh, and I've done this. Oh, nothing. We're good. We have everything. Everybody can bring something. And especially if they offer, if somebody is offering to you, if somebody's wanting to support you in some way, even if it's a loaf of bread or, yeah, you can bring us our coffee cream. Sure, that would be lovely. You want to do a dessert. You see what I'm saying? But you see, that projects when you do this thing, that projects that you're not grateful and that the other person has nothing to offer you. Well, that's pretty darn arrogant, isn't it? And you see, that arrogance flared up that day when that street person wanted to support me. Now we have some comments coming up, so let's have a look here. Ah, Kathy, woo, a street person giving you money. That is correct. And Ron is something special. Absolutely. And Jill, oh, yes, the opportunities to learn never end. That is correct. That is correct. So it's a process. And so we need to, it's like when we spoil children and they never have to ask for anything and they never have to say thank you for anything. Well, then they grow up being ungrateful adults. And this is really important work. This is actually just that one thing. Gratitude is huge. It took me because I still sometimes even still I can catch myself going if somebody wants to do something for me. But since that day, I've probably said yes more often than I've said no. And my gratitude journal really helped me to get myself past myself. Because then I started thinking outside of myself in terms of how people were actually caring for me. And sometimes I didn't know how to, the hard part in that is being able to show my appreciation, by making sure I thank people and sending cards. I've got a stack of cards here right now for people who honored my birthday, and I haven't got them mailed out. I've got them all ready to go. They're going out today. But, in the past, I maybe wouldn't do that. So being able to also express how much you appreciate other people is a way of being grateful or other experiences. And even though Ron and I share the care of our dog, I'm the one that takes him out first thing in the morning and the last thing at night. But if Ron is on his own and I'm on the show here and he has to take the dog out, I thank him for that, even though it's his responsibility as well. But see, never taking people or things for granted. Or if on Sunday I want to sleep in and he takes the dog out in the morning when I normally would. It's becoming conscious of the little stuff, the small things, and you start there. So we're going to take another 30-second break. And if you have a product, a program, a service that you'd like to promote on the show, then this is the place to do it. So here we go. 30 seconds. You can say a lot. Welcome back, everyone. You're watching the Today Show here on the Disability Channel. And today we're talking about gratitude and being grateful and making it a practice, but not just an intellectual practice. It has to be something that comes from all parts of you, all pieces of you feel it and know that we are extremely blessed right now for many, many things. Um, just yes, we're going to have the curveballs are coming, and they always come. But when you have this attitude of gratitude, it makes those hard times a lot easier to handle, a lot more to cope with. So, right now, I just want to talk a little bit about how gratitude impacts various aspects of our life. So, the first area that I noticed that it was impacting me was psychologically. I became kinder. I was thinking more about um, what I could do for others. Standing in the lineup at the coffee shop and paying for that person in front of you, paying for their coffee. I'll get that for you today. There's a random act of kindness that really, really, especially if it's someone that you think might be, hard pressed for some money. But even if they're not, it doesn't matter about their situation. We all need to be treated that way. Whether you have money or not is irrelevant. It's not part of the equation. Um, so I became more I calmed down. I wasn't so busy. People say, "Oh, you're so busy." No, I'm not. You wouldn't believe how much time I take off in the run of a day. So it's about getting that stress down. I became less stressed because I wasn't making a big deal about little stuff that didn't matter. You see, one time when a dark cloud would come, it would take me years to find the gift in that dark cloud. Because if you look back and you've had some dark clouds, and nobody's exempt, so we all have, you go 5 years later, you go, oh, you know what? It's a good thing I didn't marry that guy. He turned out not to be that great. But you see, now, instead of taking 5 years to figure stuff out, or 10 years, if I see a problem coming, I go, okay, where's the gift? There's a gift in there, and I'm pretty quick to find the gifts right now. And that's what gratitude does to us. It changes how we present ourselves, our posturing. It impacts so much. So that was what happened for me. My kindness level went up, and then that supported my self-worth journey, learning how to love myself more. All of a sudden, I was kind of liking who I was becoming, and it made loving me a whole lot easier. And I give gratitude the credit for that, because out of the gratitude came my enhanced confidence, self worth, less stressed, feeling grateful for every little thing. Every little thing. It was an amazing journey. And I was in that movie. Let me see, when was that? It was 2000 and I don't know. It's probably 10 years ago, probably 8 or 10 years ago. And yeah, it was a great experience. And that really, really concrete put a stamp on my ability to be grateful, because I was one of the talking heads telling people the importance of it. So I learned a lot about gratitude in the process of making that movie. People, there's actually science to prove this, that people who are naturally grateful and consciously grateful, both, enjoy better health, physical health. So there's a psychological shift. Then there's a physical shift. And when you're grateful, you'd be amazed how you can get through sickness, uh, bad times, better health, because actually people who are grateful sleep better. When I go to bed at night, I don't even hardly remember my head hitting the pillow and I'm asleep. And both Ron and I enjoy a good 8 hours rest every night. And I'll get into bed and be grateful for my beautiful mattress and feel it on my body, and how many people are sleeping in a cardboard box out there or sleeping in their car. Grateful. My lovely pillow, my nice sheets, everything. Because we take things for granted. We think it's just normal or automatic, and it's not. The other thing that confirmed my gratitude was being evacuated last year during the wildfires. I was so grateful to our friends, Arlen and Kathy Filion, who called us and said, "Where are you? We've got our camper. Please join us. Meet us at the gas station, and you can stay with us in our camper." I was so grateful because we had nowhere to go. Roads were blocked. We couldn't get down to our friend's place who wanted us to go there. There was only one way out of town, and it was north and east. And I was so grateful. And then I thought, wow, we might not have a home to go back to. And I would still have been grateful because I was alive. And there's, like in the movie, Mary Morrissey, one of the speakers, she talks about the wildfires in California a few years back in Montecito. And I share this in my workshops. These big, beautiful mansions were burning to the ground. And the media was there. And of course, they were interviewing people. And the first couple was out on the street in their pajamas, crying and wailing and sobbing. And the media said to them, "How are you doing?" And she said, "We're just doing terrible. We've lost everything. It's just awful. What's happening?" 2 doors down, or 2 former doors down, I might add, there was another little family standing outside. And they were standing there, and there was no emotions going on. But the media said to them, "So how are you doing?" "We are doing fantastic. Do you know that we even got our cat out of there? We can buy everything that was in there. We are feeling so grateful." So there's the same circumstances, 2 different reactions. One full of gratitude, the other one full of what? Anger, resentment, regret. Mhm. Yeah, gratitude can save your life. That I know. So we sleep better. We're more healthy. Actually, it has been measured that people who live a consciously grateful life, I think it's about an 18% reduction in the risk of a heart attack. They've actually measured that scientifically. Imagine. Because when you're grateful for everything, your peanut butter sandwich. I always ask Ron every day, "What would you like for dinner tonight? What do you feel like having?" Because as you get older, your appetite's not the same. You don't really eat as much. And he said, "Well, right now, I would just love to have a peanut butter sandwich." And I told him the other day, I said, "One of these nights, that's exactly what you're going to get, with maybe a little celery on the side or something." And he said, "That'd be great." You see? And then when it doesn't take much to please you, it's not like you're settling and that you don't want more, and you can have more and you can be more. But just as long as you're grateful all along the way, that's the important thing. It's been known to reduce stress in the workplace. Just imagine working in an environment where everybody is appreciating everybody. And I do. And I announce that publicly when we have our Monday night gatherings. I'm always grateful for the people who are in my circle right now, helping to get our messages out there, whether it's on the show, a workshop facilitator, maybe a great word as an ambassador. I've always had ambassadors. And Jill, you reminded me that of last night in your text because my dearest friend, Phyllis Coops, who passed away a couple of years ago, it will be in October. She was my biggest fan and my biggest ambassador. She had never taken a workshop, but she carried my brochures everywhere and my business cards everywhere with her. And she was an ambassador for me. So, workplace. What about your workplace? How stressful is it? Well, that's because there's a piece missing in there called gratitude. I'm so grateful for every single person that ever crossed my path in the last 32 years. Maybe they didn't leave the way I would have liked them to leave, but it doesn't mean I wasn't grateful, and I'm not grateful because every person that came brought their talents, brought their gifts, brought their ideas, and that's why we're here today. It was actually one of my sisters who said to me, "You should be on the air." And I went, "Ah, I don't think so." Now, isn't that terrible? Think about that. She said, "Laurie, your voice, the way you present yourself, you should be on the radio." And that was years ago, 1998, mainstream radio. I said, "You think?" And she said, "Oh, I don't think it. I know it definitely. You'd be wonderful." I couldn't even receive that. Well, I got over myself, didn't I? Because here I am. So being grateful in the workplace professionally, when you're doing business, when you're dealing with money, and I had so much to learn. I didn't know a lot of stuff. And sometimes I was just feeling my way along and made mistakes and hurt people. But I didn't know that at the time, but I know it now. Gratitude helps when you're put in we mentioned this already, a little dark place and you have to overcome adversity. It's been shown that people who have a grateful nature tend to have higher levels of coping skills. Sometimes I see, somebody breaks a fingernail and they have a meltdown. So what does it take for us to have a meltdown? A big thing, a small thing? Um, Now it wouldn't matter to me how big it is. The meltdown stages are over. I used to have a lot of them, a lot of them. I cry over everything. If I lost a facilitator or a customer, I would think it was my fault, and I'd be a week, 2 weeks, a month getting over it, thinking it was all about me. See? Instead of being grateful to have met them for the brief period of time, leaving the door open, they can come back. You see how that shifted? That shifted because I don't take things personally anymore. That was another huge behavior that came from being grateful, not taking things personally. I became more generous with my money, my time, my talent. I would volunteer to do things, sponsor people in the programs, help somebody out if they were in need a place to stay, you need a meal. I've always been about that, but this time it's more not the deed itself, but the why. I used to do it to get approval. That's why I used to do those things. But now it's not about approval because I don't need anybody's approval other than my own. And I have pretty high standards, so I think I'll always be safe there. I became more forgiving. I realized that not everybody is where I'm at in their journeys. And so being able to accept people where they are and being okay with that, and then one piece at a time, like a jigsaw puzzle, showing them how to build their gratitude, how to build their self worth, how to build their ability to love who they are. and helping them to become conscious of all of that is what I do for a living. And so what happens is gratitude just attracts more good stuff. So let's talk about that after we come back from our break. 30 seconds to showcase you, your product, your program, your services. We'll help you to create the ad, whatever help you need to do that. We have a heck of a deal to be here on the show. Here we go. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Laurie Davis hosting the show today here on the Disability Channel. And thank you for watching. And thank you for the support. And thank you for sharing the show. If there's anything you'd like to do to help us out, that would be to go to my Facebook page, Laurie Davis. We're broadcasting there right now, and or YouTube, Laurie Davis Show Host, and just go in there and share today's message with people that you know that could benefit or may cause them to have a bit of a shift if they understood how important gratitude is. It's really important. It's one of the three keys to happiness. It's one of the four agreements. Thank you, Jill, for the reminder. But I always share the three keys to happiness. There are three of them. And actually, the middle one is gratitude. Everybody wants to be happy, but they don't even know what the three keys to happiness are. Well, we know what they are, and gratitude is one of them. So let's just, you know that old saying, charity begins at home? Start practicing gratitude in your home. I even thank my dog. I do. Thank you for being a good boy when we had company. Thank you for not making a mess when we left you alone. Thank you. He even knows that word. That's part of his vocabulary because they can learn our breed boxer. They can have a vocabulary of 300 plus words. So I taught him a new word every week, and he knows everything we're saying pretty much. And when I say, thank you, Ron, he knows, and he'll go over and lick Ron and say, thank you. So if an animal can do it, uh, you know what I'm saying? So within the framework of your home, if you live alone, you just go through your house and look at everything and be grateful for the memories that have been created there, the things that you have around you. And you do that every day. That's another way to practice. We have to practice this. It may be brand new to us. Maybe we were brought up in homes where there was a lot of yelling and screaming and everybody calling everybody names and chaos and confusion. And maybe gratitude was never ever really taught. It doesn't mean it didn't exist there, but we need to be taught it and we can learn it. So start at home with your family, your children. Let them know how grateful you are to have them, how grateful you are, and how blessed you are to have had them in the first place. And it just tears my heart up when I see parents mistreating their kids. And what they're teaching those kids to do is to mistreat other people. And then they grow up and they mistreat people. So it builds respect. And it's really vital within our homes. And I have a young mom as a client right now, and she has a young boy and a husband. And I just told her the other day, okay, one way to bring the chaos down in the home is just to stop yelling. And she said, isn't that something? We all yell all the time. We're all yelling at each other. I said, well, make that a new rule that yelling is no longer appropriate. And then it'll bring that way down. So start practicing gratitude with your family. Being grateful to be able to go to the grocery store. You know, I just hear people whining and moaning and about the price of groceries, and I know it's expensive, and I don't know how families are doing it right now, because Ramin shared with us yesterday it costs $935 more a month now for the very same things, nothing new, but since COVID, it's costing families another $925 a month for the same services, goods they were receiving before COVID. Somebody's making money. But at the end of the day, I'm grateful that we have a place where we can actually go buy food. How many people in the world don't even have a place where they can go buy some food? Really? And during COVID, when I would go to get my groceries, and there would be women, stocking the shelves, and I would always say to them, "Thank you for being here." And they've got their masks on and their rubber gloves, and they take their mask down and go, "What? What did you say?" I said, "Thank you for being here. If you weren't here, we wouldn't have food." If COVID did anything, it should have taught us how to be grateful to have gotten out of there alive. Some people didn't make it. We know that. But gratitude really can change everything. So start paying attention to what's going on around you that you need to be grateful for and about. The good stuff, the bad stuff, the great stuff. Just be grateful. And don't wait for something really great to happen before you decide you're going to say thank you. Just be that. Just be that walking, talking billboard for gratitude. And people look at you differently. They treat you differently because you don't have this chip on your shoulder. I can always tell the way that people communicate to me, whether or not they're grateful people or not. So start paying attention. And when you hear people whining and complaining and moaning and groaning about nothingness, they'll say to me, "Well, you don't understand." And I'll say, "You know what? I do understand. That's why I can talk to you like this, because I've been there, done that, wore the t-shirt." So I'm a little bit of a soapbox today, but I love being on my little soapbox because I'm not talking about hot air coming out of my butt. I live these things. I walk them. Did I always? No, because I didn't know any better. But as soon as I got new information, I implemented it into my life. The information that I knew would support me. And if something isn't supporting me, thank you. I'm grateful for that experience. And then I move on. Next is my favorite word in the movie. Next is my favorite word. Who's next? Who's going to step up and take care of themselves? Next. Who's next? So I tease my military friends and I say, "You guys have the guns and I have the ammunition. So let's make it happen. Let's get out there and serve in a different kind of way that will really help to change people's lives for them." And one of the things we teach them is gratitude. This is actually a learning video, isn't it? Hmm. People call them podcasts. I don't do podcasts. We broadcast. And that's because that's what I prefer to call it. I'm broadcasting. And I have a program called Powerhouse Podcasting, which will turn you into a broadcaster. Yay! Got it? I'm grateful for podcasting. It's a big industry now, and a lot of people who never ever would have been able to broadcast can get on there and podcast and do the job, get their message out there. It's so great. Are we not grateful for that? All right. Well, our time is just about up. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis, and you've been watching the Today Show here on the Disability Channel. And thank you for being here, and thank you for watching and listening. And maybe you jotted a few things down. And I appreciate our live viewers as well who are here with us today. So take care of yourself, and we'll be back tomorrow with our special community, the veteran community, being represented again tomorrow. And soon going to have some people from the Indigenous community on. And Thursday, I love Thursdays because we become very cross-cultural and we look at different cultures and talk to people from different cultures. So make it a great day, make it a grateful day, and start that journal. Talk to you later. Bye for now.